All right. Welcome to another episode of Outstanding Life Podcast with me, Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy, in the house today. For the very first time, I am doing my call-in. So I am not up close and personal with Mr. JC Unger. I am on the phone with him. JC, what's up, buddy?
Oh, it's a beautiful day here in Florida.
I know. I was just thinking this morning that usually it is wintertime when I call you and say, JC, what's the weather like? And you're like, I'm not going to tell you, it's 80 degrees. But today I woke up and it was like 69, 70 degrees. It was beautiful today here in Michigan. What's it like there in Florida?
It gets oppressively hot at this time of year, actually. It gets very humid, very, very warm. So, and I got an outside gig today. I'm playing outside at the Thunderbird and for 4 hours. And by the time that gig is done, I am ready to go into a nice air-conditioned restaurant.
I love that Thunderbird. I mean, I've watched you play there several times and had friends out there watching you play the Thunderbird. The beach there at St. Petersburg is just so beautiful. That
it has a vibe. Yeah, it has a vibe. It really does.
So all of you that are listening right now, JC Unger has produced every single one of my CDs, 2 of them in which have been Grammy considered, including the 2019 61 Grammys. Isn't that right, JC?
Yes, sir. Yep.
For spoken word. I mean, this is amazing. We have known each other about 18, 19 years.
Yes.
And you've produced every single one of my CDs.
Well, you didn't know any better. So, what can I say?
How did you get into the business of performing? I mean, you play every single instrument. How did you ever get involved in music?
I don't play every instrument, but when I was a little kid, I was 8, and I think my sister was, she was 7 years older. So what, she was 12, right? No, I'm just kidding. So my parents got us for Christmas. She got her a violin and me a guitar. And because I was a little jealous little brat, I wanted the violin. So I didn't realize that I actually would be able to learn how to play that darn instrument. And they gave me lessons, and I learned from nuns. Nuns taught me how to play. And then when I was about 12 or 13 years old, the Beatles came. And that's when I knew I had to play the guitar. So it was basically violin and guitar. Now, in today's world, because of the internet and Pro Tools and items like that, you can make yourself sound like you can actually play a lot of instruments that you don't even touch, So some of what I do is made that way. But I still play the guitar and the violin pretty steadily.
Well, you are amazing, and you can play piano like I've never heard anybody play. I mean, you're amazing at that as well. Now, for those of you, I met you in Detroit, but you're not actually from Detroit. You're from Canada, right?
Right. I was born in a little town. I was actually born in Windsor and raised by Mennonite parents out in the country, out in Leamington, and then as a teenager in Kingsville. And so that's where I came from, that rural area there,
And so, I'll never forget the time that we produced probably about 3 CDs ago, and you got done producing and recording the CD, and you said, Johnny D, I am motivated. I am leaving Michigan in 2 weeks. And I said, what? And you literally packed up everything and moved to Florida. And you've been in Florida for how long now?
Let's see, going on 15 years, I guess.
15 years. Yeah, that's about right. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was a solo musician working in bars in Michigan, and what happened was I started out, I was doing 6 nights a week. I was playing a Holiday Inn 6 nights a week, and then all of a sudden the economy changed and they cut down their entertainment to 2 nights a week, and I couldn't I couldn't survive. I couldn't survive. So I knew I had to make some kind of change. And the weather just was just, no, I wasn't happy. Every time I'd scrape the windshield, I would get so mad, So that's what happened. One day I was scraping the windshield and I snapped. I said, that's it. And I threw the scraper down on the ground. I said, that's it. And I went back into the house. I said, I'm going to Florida. And 6 months later, I was there.
Yeah,
6 months later, I was there.
I'll never forget that time. Never, ever, ever forget that time.
Yep.
JC, matter of fact, I don't know if you remember this story, but we were recording that CD. And now I'm going to take you back a little bit here. And
Sure.
That's when technology really started getting good. And I'll never forget that you were living in like a single wide
Yes.
manufactured home.
Yep.
And you had
Yep.
one of the bedrooms was the sound.
Right. Where the singer would
Yeah.
be. Right.
Yeah. Or
Yes.
the spoken word artist.
Or the spoken word.
and I'll never forget. I don't know if you remember this, but I was recording a story and all of a sudden through my headphones, we heard argument from a man and a woman and a kid screaming in the background because the parents were arguing. I don't know if you remember this. And I took
vaguely.
off everything and I said, JC, I said, turn off your TV. And you're like, Johnny, I don't have my TV on. I said, well, then shut the radio off. You're like, my radio's not on. I'm like, well, I hear people arguing in my earphones. And you're like, I hear the same thing. And we could not figure it out. It took us about 30 minutes to realize that it was your neighbors next door that were arguing and the microphone was picking up on it.
Yes. The walls were thin in those mobile homes. And when I moved to Florida, I got a mobile home again because they were, less expensive and so forth. But I had a front room that I was going to use for the sound room. And I had lead put in the walls because I was right on the street and I didn't want to hear traffic.
Right.
And so I had these two guys come in and they were trying to lift these sheets of lead. And one guy quit. He quit when he was doing that because they were so damn heavy. So, yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah, those walls were thin.
It's amazing what you producers do, huh, Paul? When you have things that you want everything to sound perfect.
Oh yeah, lining walls with foam, lining walls with lead, putting out walls inside walls.
Right.
Yeah.
JC, I know you as a musician, as a producer, but that is just one part of you that is so intriguing. There's another part of you that you are an amazing author. You have several books. One of them I know is called One Thing Over. Another one, which is just an amazing, amazing book, and it's The Ghost of Bella Lakeside.
Yes.
A Musician's Story is another one. Dream Speaker. I mean, and Love. What is it? Love and the Wild Side. Yeah. JC, what made you go from writing music to writing books?
Johnny, I don't know. That was a natural turn of events for me. I just started wanting to sit down at the computer and just type away. And that turned into stories, and it turned into remembering times and changing names to protect the innocent, So, and it just came out. And then after this last book, I was 3 years ago.
Now the last one was The Ghost of Bella Lakeside, right?
Yeah, The Ghost of Bella Lakeside. And since then, I've just hit a wall. I haven't written anything until recently. Just a few weeks ago, I started to write again. So
what is that book about? For those of the listeners
Which
right
one?
now, The Ghost of Bella Lakeside, because that is a great book.
It's about a movie star who is from the Leamington, Kingsville areas where he grew up, let's say. And he gets burned out. He's in his 50s and he gets burned out. And so he wants to go to a bed and breakfast and just get away from it all, completely get away from it all. And so he thinks he's just going to relax, but he runs into a ghost that is there. And but it's also a love story because he meets the love of his life in that town, that small little town. And so between that and having encounters with that ghost, that's how the story goes.
What about the musician's story? That is another book that I read twice. I mean, what is that book? Tell everybody about
that's basically my life, but I changed the name to protect the innocent. Or I should say to protect the guilty.
Right.
Yeah, that's basically my autobiography, and I change everybody's name in there, but it tells pretty much the truth about what I did.
That's awesome. And how can people find your books?
Well, that's a good question because of course they're online, Amazon and Barnes and Noble, and my publishing company was called Publish America. And something changed in that company. Either they sold the company or they changed their name. I'm not sure, but something has happened there. Now they're called America's Best. And it seems that all of the writers' books, and there are thousands of writers, all of their books are frozen now. So if you try to go online and buy them, the cost is ridiculous. I saw the other day, The Ghost of Bell Lakes, I was going for $800. It's like, what? You're out of your mind. It's just crazy stuff. I don't know what's going on. I think there are lawsuits probably, planned here and there. I don't know. I haven't got a clue what's happening there.
Well, that's awesome. And for those, for everybody who's listening, I mean, you have to look up, you can go to jcunger.com and look up some of the books and stuff like that. Cause that's where I got them. And that was super cool. So you're not just a musician, you're a performer, you're an arranger, you're a father, you're a husband. Let's start with performing. You are still, JC, you are still gigging.
Yeah. I'm a full timer.
Yeah. You are still gigging, man. You are still performing, 3, 4, 5 nights a week?
Yep, 3 to 5. Yeah, that's why I came to Florida, because I knew there would be not just Fridays and Saturdays. There would be every night of the week if you wanted it, and that's exactly the way it has been since I got here. You can find a gig here any night of the week.
That is awesome.
And yeah, it is awesome. It really is. I mean, as many nights as you can work, you can make $1,000 a week if you can work 7 nights.
Right.
So I don't want to work that much, but. I mean, that's a lot, because we set up and tear down every day. It's not like in Michigan. I used to leave my equipment in a bar in Michigan for so long that when I finally moved it, the carpet was white underneath where the equipment was. So it was a different color,
Right, yeah.
That's how long it would see it.
You're also an arranger. Now, for those, I know what that is, but for those people that are listening that don't know what an arranger is, can you explain what an arranger is?
I don't know if I can. I mean, it just means that when you put music together, you dynamically build it in certain ways or suppress it in certain ways. You just follow your heart with that kind of activity. You double up on the instruments here and there, and sometimes you single down on instruments here and there, and you just have to follow your instincts on how to do that.
So you basically make something, somebody can take something to you written in chicken scratch, and you can arrange it to make it sound amazing, basically.
Well, hopefully, one thing I've been blessed is be able to play all the instruments. So every track I use on my live gigs, I'm a solo artist, basically, and I use a backup to make me sound as though I'm playing with the band. Because to me, there's a lot of guys that work here that just play a guitar, but to me, I start yawning after 2 songs.
Right.
Hey, boy,
and that's what people don't realize about you is when you do somebody else's song, you just don't take their track. You actually build that music from scratch.
Yeah, you can buy karaoke tracks, but I don't. I've never bought one, never used one. I make my own from scratch. So. And I don't even tell people that because it sounds like you're, bragging, and it's nothing,
Right.
I just all I care about is that they like what I'm doing and that they stick around, and come back again sometime.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Musician, performer, arranger, but you're also a father.
Yes. 3 kids, all grown up, of course. And my daughter, Julia, is in Wisconsin, Madison. And my son Jason is in Michigan, and Michael also. My stepson. There's my stepsons,
Right.
Jason and Michael, and they live in Michigan. And so and then I've got a stepdaughter, Sabrina,
which I've met many times, and
yep,
she is wonderful.
Yes, she's doing really well too. She's doing good. She's doing good. Yeah. So I'm very, very happy.
Do you have grandbabies yet?
I have 5, I think.
What?
No, 6.
Now that's
6,
something I
6
didn't know about you, and I didn't ask you about this because I wanted to be surprised, but I didn't know that you even had grandbabies. Congratulations!
Yep. Yeah, and recently my daughter brought the 3 of her children to the Thunderbird and stayed at Thunderbird, and then we went swimming. And Grandpa jumped in the pool with the kids, and I got some coins. And because kids, I don't know if you know this or not, but kids love diving for coins.
When you just said that, I remember throwing quarters in my parents' pool and going and looking for them. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
You just took me back a few years now.
Yeah, kids did. I don't think they'd done it before, because as soon as I did it, it was like, oh,
it's the simple things
crazy,
in life.
Yeah, isn't it though?
Yeah,
it's just the
crazy.
crazy simple things. So yeah.
You're also a husband to,
yes,
I will say, you have the most amazing wife that I have ever personally met in my life.
I agree.
Yeah, well, of course you agree. But Mary Beth, your wife, is one of those ladies that she has her own profession. She has her own job. She has her own life, but she still makes time every single day that you perform. She's there.
Yep. She's there. Yeah. Yeah. It's something I just can't even believe. I can't even believe it, because I know a lot of musicians, and their wives will come on a Friday or Saturday, but not every gig.
Right.
So especially after she does a full work day, she's in sales, and that's very stressful sometimes. She's in aluminum sales, and jeepers, oh man, so I just can't believe it. Like I tell her, don't you just want to stay home and just watch TV and relax and chill? No, let's go.
Well, I just spent time with you a couple months ago, and she was up before both of us making phone calls. She went to work while we shot a couple videos. She came home from work, got back on the phone, and then went out with us that night. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know how that woman does it.
That's a normal day for her.
Unbelievable.
Yeah, she's really something, and my fans, they all love her, in fact, they love her. They just come to see her. They don't come to see me.
I was just going to ask you, now you are in a lot of bars and restaurants in Florida, and your fans I was just going to ask you, does Mary Beth sometimes have more fans than you?
Yes. Yes,
because I know for a fact that I sent some friends that were hanging out in Florida for a couple months, and they came and saw you guys. And of course, they're like, oh, JC was great. Oh, his wife was amazing. Oh my God, we hung out with her. She was so much fun. And I mean, everybody that meets your wife, they just start smiling.
Yeah.
So congratulations on finding that perfect woman in your life.
Oh yeah. She's the inspiration for my songs, my books, everything. That's the gal, she's the one. So
JC, let's talk music now.
Mm-hmm.
I have been wanting to ask somebody this question for years, and I'm going to ask you something that you may or may not have been asked before, and that is, you play the violin all the time, almost every day.
Yeah.
What is the difference, my friend? What is the difference between a violin and a fiddle?
I don't know if we have time to explain all this. None.
So wait a second. There is not a difference between a violin and a fiddle?
No. They're both
You're
played.
Crushing me, my friend. You're crushing me right now. I thought for sure there was the same. Then why are they called two different instruments?
Well, because it has to do with the style of music played on the instrument. That's all it refers to. If you're playing, bluegrass, country type stuff, then you're playing a fiddle. And if you're playing classical or jazz, but let's say, then you're playing a violin.
Wow.
And, God forbid, like me, you're somewhere in between sometimes,
Right.
because that's when I record the violin. I actually made a violin album that I entered in the Grammys few years back.
Yep, exactly. I was just going to say.
Yeah,
Yep.
it was, and that was I did some fiddle on that album, but then there was some that wasn't classical and that wasn't fiddle. So what the heck is it,
Right.
And that's one of the reasons I think that I was just totally ignored in that round, because they don't know, well, who is this guy? What is this stuff? God forbid you do anything new without a record company boosting the heck out of you, because you won't get anywhere,
Well, JC, this is going to be a perfect time, because we are going to stop right now and we are going to go to one of your tracks right now and let people hear you play the fiddle, the violin.
Okay.
Either one they're the same.
Yeah, it's the same thing.
JC, that was amazing. I mean, you are just so flippin' talented, my friend. Who inspired you to play music? Like, what bands, what musicians inspired you? Like, I know you said earlier that, mom and dad got your sister a fiddle or a violin and then you a guitar. I get that.
Yeah.
But what bands and who inspired you to play music?
When I was about 13 years of age, the Beach Boys came out, and I couldn't believe how they sounded. Their harmonies just infatuated me. I just loved the Beach Boys so much, and I have stayed with them over the years. I ride a bike now every other day for exercise, and guess who I listen to? Beach Boys.
The Beach Boys.
Yeah, I listen to the Beach Boys. I can listen to them over and over and over. I never get sick of them, never get tired of them.
JC, that is so funny you said that, because I think about the last couple months. I've been riding my bike 15 to 20 miles a day, or I run 4 to 5 miles a day, just to try to keep in shape. And that's when I'm home, not when I'm on the road. But
yeah,
I don't listen to the Beach Boys, but I do listen to Kenny Chesney's No Shoes Radio. And there is just something about beach music that I can listen to over and over and over again. And when I'm having one of those days that I do not want to exercise, within the first 1 or 2 songs, next thing you know, I have been riding my bike for an hour and a half. You know what I mean? Walking or running longer than I would have. There's just something about beach music. So you're absolutely correct. I totally agree with you.
Mm-hmm. Yes, I like beach music very much. They call it trop rock.
Okay.
And I did an album. I did a couple of albums of trop rock music with Jim Lanier, a good friend of mine.
He's another great artist.
He is another great artist. Oh yeah, Jimmy's wonderful. And Jimmy actually is a videographer as well. He shot one of my videos. So trop rock is quite popular here, and That is exercise music. Yes.
Yeah.
Very much.
JC, you've been in this business for how long? What, 40 years? Longer?
Let's see. I'd say more getting close to 50 years.
I was trying to
Did
give
I
you.
say that?
I was trying to give you
Oh
an
my
out,
God.
JC. I was trying to give you an out
I know.
there.
I should have stuck with 40. I know.
So you've been in the business for 50 years. Have you ever met anyone famous?
Oh, let's see. Well, back in the day when I was in my early 20s, I had a good buddy, Richie Vane, and we were still in Southern Ontario playing bars, and it was driving us crazy because we knew we were better than this. We got to do something. We got to get out of here. So Richie bought a hearse, a Cadillac hearse. And he got a custom painted orange, beautiful orange color, kept the black roof. The black roof was still on it. We piled all our junk into that Cadillac hearse, and we drove the Route 66 all the way down to Las Vegas.
Wow.
And we got to Las Vegas. And Richie had made a connection with a lady. He had stayed at a commune in LA, or not LA, but in California somewhere. I don't know how he got there. It's a long story. But anyway, he had met this lady, and her name was Faye McKay. Now, she was probably about his mother's age, maybe a little less. And she played the piano, and she told jokes. And she was working at a very nice lounge in the Sands Hotel in Las Vegas. And the way she got the gig was she was discovered by Liberace. You know who Liberace was, right?
Absolutely. Everybody knows who Liberace is.
So apparently she says to Richie, I'll let you guys stay at my house for 3 weeks until you get your feet in the ground and get started here in Las Vegas. So we got free room and board for 3 weeks with Faye McKay.
That's
and
cool.
you can find Faye McKay on the internet. You can find her on YouTube. She does one specific thing that's absolutely hilarious. It's called The 12 Days of Christmas, DAZE.
Okay.
And she starts with one drink, on the first day of Christmas, I had a Bloody Mary, and by the time she's around to 8 or 9, she is just hilariously drunk. She's completely drunk, and she keeps going. And finally, she's even going, she's not even singing anymore.
Do you think that was real?
Funny. No, she didn't drink.
Okay.
She was just doing comedy.
That's awesome.
So, but the really, 1 week we're on Southern Ontario with nothing going on. 2 weeks later, here we are in the home of this wonderful entertainer in Las Vegas. She's on the phone in the kitchen with somebody, and I'm sitting there having a coffee. And she's laughing. Oh, Lee, you're so funny. Oh, Lee. She hangs up, and I go, so who's Lee? She goes, Lee, Liberace. She's on the phone with Liberace. And I'm sitting there at this table, and I'm thinking, 2 weeks ago, I was just sitting there in this Southern Ontario town just dying. And now I'm in Las Vegas, and there's a lady talking to Liberace on the phone. What's going on,
Driving in a hearse. On top
driving
of that.
in an orange hearse with a black roof.
JC, I was just thinking. Time. So you did that, but you also, if I'm not mistaken, didn't you say that you played in the Canadian Orchestra?
I did for a little while. I did play in an orchestra.
That's crazy to me. So what instrument did you play in the orchestra?
I played violin.
Wow.
And it was a combination of age. It wasn't like one age group or anything. It was a whole mixture. And the guy next to me was 83 playing the violin.
Wow. And you were young at that point, right?
Yeah, I was. Oh man, I think I was. I probably was 10. I think I was 10 or 11. Yeah, I wasn't very good, But this gentleman next to me, he was an inspiration because he had such a sweet tone and nice vibrato. It was nice. It was nice to be around people like that and make sound that orchestra made. It was nice.
JC, let me ask you, do you have the same fiddle, the same violin that you have had for years?
No.
So you've had the same one or different ones?
I've had different ones over the years. Yeah, okay. One thing or another has happened to them. Sometimes they become the glue goes bad after a while. They don't last. So yeah, I've had the one I've got right now. I've had about 10 years, and it was used when I got it. So there's no telling exactly how old it is, but it sounds like an old violin. It has a beautiful tone, a really nice tone. I really like it.
Do you have nicknames for them?
No, no, I don't. But, these instruments, they take a beating when we play here in Florida because we're always playing outside in tremendous humidity. So, I mean, I have to tune my instruments literally after every couple songs. I got to check tuning because it drives me crazy to play out of tune. I can't do it. It just drives me. My ears just want to kill me.
Not only that, but the sand. I mean, when it's a little windy. I mean, because you play on the beaches, so doesn't the sand really have a lot to do with that as well, like tearing up your equipment?
Yes, it does. That's one of the
salt water.
Yeah. Yep, the salty air. Yep, the salty air and the very fine sand when the wind whips it up. Yeah, it does. It does cause problems. And our equipment, we go through mixers and speakers, so we have to get new ones. So after a couple 3 years, you're ready to get new stuff. But I wouldn't trade it for anything.
JC, if you could play with any one person or any band for
Beach
1
Boys.
hour
Beach Boys
on stage in front of a live crowd,
Beach Boys,
it would be the Beach Boys, huh?
Yeah, yes, it would.
Okay, so what would be the opening song if you got to play with the Beach Boys? I mean, let's just say that the Beach Boys are listening to the Outstanding Life podcast right now. I got JC on the phone, and JC's ultimate dream goal would be to play with the Beach Boys for a couple songs on stage. What would that first song be?
Well, that would be up to them. It wouldn't matter to me because I would be able to jump up, and all they'd have to do is tell me, sing the alto, sing the soprano, sing the tenor notes, and I would grab it and I'd do it because I know their stuff so well. I really know it very well. Yeah.
JC, you've been playing music, just like you said, for 50 years. Have you ever had a real job? Hey, listen, besides music.
Hey, wait. What defines a real job here?
Yeah. I know. I'm still, listen, I haven't worked in I think 20 years now, right? Because everybody's like, yeah, a real job, not doing music, JC.
I don't want a real job. I like my job. I don't want a real job.
I don't blame you.
Yeah, I have. Let's see. Well, I worked at Home Depot. I went in for the job. This is when Michigan went down to 2 nights a week entertaining, and I had to do something. Okay. So I go to Home Depot. I go into Home Depot and I apply for the job. And I didn't, my dad was a carpenter, but I didn't know anything about anything because all I knew was music. So the guys asked, giving me the interview and everything. So finally he says, what makes you think that you're the right thing for our place here? What do you think? I said, well, my dad was a carpenter. And I got the freaking job. I got the job. Yeah, I got the job. And they put me in hardware. So I had to go all through hardware and look at all this little stuff. And because if people ask me, where's this and that? Where's it? You have to be able to tell them where stuff is.
Right.
So what do? So people are saying, excuse me, but where are the blah, blah, blahs? And I would go, hold on 1 second. And I would find somebody else that worked in that department. And I'd say, where are the blah, blah, blahs? And I'd come back and tell the person, if they were still standing there waiting. And I got away with it. I lasted 2 months. But
I was just going to ask you, how long was it? So 2 months is not a long time. That's only like 4 or 5 paychecks.
Yeah.
So was that your only real job, was Home Depot all these years?
I'm trying to think of the other. I was playing in a bar in Riverview. I think it's Riverview. Anyway, the lady said, we have an opening for a wait staff if you're interested. So here I am. I'm playing at this bar and I'm working as a waiter at lunchtime. And I don't know if you know anything about service people, but they have to do 3 or 4 things at one time.
Yeah, I've definitely done my time at serving tables. Yes.
Okay. So, You just have to be able to do 3-4 things at one time.
Yeah.
So I'm working the lunch shift, which means people come in and they need their lunch now, and they need to get out and go back to work. So I was not very good. So this guy and his wife sitting there, and I'm waiting on him, and he says, yeah, we just came in here from Kentucky, and we need 2 Osties. And I'm thinking, geez, oh man, I don't even know if we have, Osties, that La Champagne, that it's in a little bottle, comes in little bottles. So, on top of everything else, asking me, hey, bring me the water. You got to bring me the water. It's my food. Where's my food? And I'm walking, where's my check? No. So I have to go down the basement to find these Osties. So I'm looking, I find them, finally find them. I bring them back upstairs and I set them down on the table in front of them. And the guy goes, no, we want iced tea. Iced tea. Iced tea. That's what they, not Osties.
You were thinking about Asti, like the champagne, right?
Yes.
That's funny. So was that your last day?
I can't remember if that was my last day, but it was close to being the last day. Yeah.
How many CDs do you have now?
I probably have a dozen.
Okay.
Over the last 20 years, a dozen or so.
And you can find those again at jcunger.com. JC, one of the CDs that I want to talk about, there are several that have inspired me over the years, but one CD that I love to listen to, and it is Christmas Old is New Again. It's on Pandora, has over 400,000 spins. Now that's pretty cool. I mean, you're a Grammy considered, artist, you're a Grammy considered producer, arranger. I mean, but then you're on Pandora for a Christmas CD. Now, one, that's pretty cool. You're almost at 500,000. This Christmas will probably put you over the 500,000 part. But why Christmas Old is New Again? I couldn't wait to ask you that. I mean, because Christmas is Christmas. I mean, Christmas has been around forever. So you have, the title of it is Christmas Old is New Again.
Yeah, I wanted to make a Christmas album. I really did. But if you use songs that are recent in the so let's say the last 25, 30 years within that period of time, then you're going to have to pay a royalty rate and you're going to have to fill out papers and blah, 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 blah. So what I tried to do is I tried to find royalty-free songs that I could take that I still liked, actually songs I grew up with as a little kid, and that I could modernize, put some hip rhythms, maybe even a hip hop feel to some of the stuff, and bring it up to date and not have to pay any of that royalty stuff. So that's what I did. And I picked, Jingle Bells and whatever. I can't even think of that.
And the CDs is just amazing. And so I didn't realize that that's why you named it Christmas Old is New Again, because all you did was take the royalty free stuff and you put a modern twist to it.
Yeah, exactly.
And those of you that are listening right now, again, it's called Christmas Old is New Again. You can find it on Pandora. So make sure you check it out. JC, another one that is so inspiring to me is called, the title is Wedding Walk. And it has such a great story. But why did you write the Wedding Walk?
When I wrote the song, it wasn't called Wedding Walk. It was a song I wrote when my father passed away. And it didn't even have a name then. Yeah. And then my daughter grew up and she said she was going to get married. She said, Dad, I want to use that song as my wedding song. I said, okay. So I did a recording of it, made a little bit different recording of it, but everything basically was the same. And then I called it The Wedding Walk. And it was nice to have that for my daughter's wedding. But then years later, when I got married to Mary Beth, we used the same song for us.
Wow. So it went from writing it for a funeral.
Yes.
To 2 weddings.
2 weddings.
Let's talk just for a minute. I'm going to kind of put you on the spot here, but let's talk about, and those of you that are again listening, make sure you check out, there is an amazing video on his website, jcunger.com. It's called Wedding Walk. And you proposed to Mary Beth in such a cool way. And I don't even know the story, so I'm going to be kind of surprised here as well. How did that all come up? Did you do that? Did you plan that all by yourself? And how did you make it all like, because timing was everything for that. There was a lot of timing involved.
I was actually having lunch. I think I was having lunch with my daughter. And I said, I was going to take Mary Beth to dinner and propose to her. And my daughter said, "Oh, Dad, you got to use more imagination than that." And so that made me think, okay, all right. And then I saw the plane here. There's always a plane going down the beach pulling banners. That's just a common thing here.
Yep.
And I saw that and I thought, yeah, I wonder what that is, So I found out. And on the banner, it says, "Mary Beth, I love you. Will you marry me, JC?"
I like how you put the name at the end just to make sure that there was not another Mary Beth walking down the beach with somebody.
Yeah. And Mary Beth and I would go to the beach, every once in a while and walk and have lunch and sit in the sand and just talk and stuff. So I had to get her there because I knew that plane was coming at a certain time.
Right. So
I had to, make sure I could get her. So I said, let's go down to the beach. And she didn't give me any trouble, thank God. So we're sitting there, we're sitting there on the beach and all of a sudden this plane starts coming over and I'm going, oh my God, look I can't believe this. This is such a coincidence. Can you believe it? And she goes, what? And she looks around and she sees and she's reading it. And then she looks at me and she looks back at the sign again. All of a sudden she starts, "Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God." And for the next 2 hours, it was, "Oh my God, oh my God."
You captured that though. You captured that on video. How did you capture it on video without her knowing that was happening? I mean, because so now you have the plane. Now you have, you're proposing to her and you got a camera there.
I had to fake that one too, because our good friends, Craig and Charlotte, I told them all about what my plans were. So they timed it to show up, and here they come walking. I go, "Damn, that looks like Craig and Charlotte." And Craig was wearing something that he didn't normally wear. And Mary Beth says, "Oh, I don't think so. I think she's with somebody else." And I said, "No, they get closer. No, yeah, that's Craig and Charlotte." And I had a camera with me, and so it's like we're acting like, "Oh my God, what a coincidence! We bump into you guys here, So then the plane flies over, and I quickly hand Craig the camera.
Wow!
And I had it all ready to go. And he starts filming. He filmed that. So
again, if you're listening, go to jcunger.com. Watch the video. It's called Wedding Walk. It is literally, it's so emotional, so cool. It's one of those videos, and it's one of those songs though that it has spoke to me for years. And I think I told you this a couple of days ago. That is one of the songs that have inspired me over the years. And I never looked at it as a wedding song. I never looked at it as a funeral song. I looked at it as every time I heard it, I would just put myself in the song. And in the song, I was a cowboy walking in an old town. And it's one of those songs that speak to me. You have another one called Guitars and Violins. What inspired you to do that?
Boy, I don't know. I don't remember, but a good friend of ours just loves that song. And she just, it seems as though she sits with us, with Mary Beth when I'm performing. And she just almost brings her to tears when I do that song. Something about it she just really likes. And I really like it too. I mean, I don't know where that one came from. That's a little bit deeper than a lot of the stuff that I write. So.
Well, JC, we are going to stop for a second and we are going to let the listeners listen to about 15, 30 seconds of that song, Guitars and Violins, that you again can listen to at jcunger.com. What an amazing, amazing song. Again, that was guitars and violins. JC, you had another one called Something About the Way.
Mm-hmm.
What's the story on that one?
Now that the lyrics for that were by the girl that has been doing my lyrics for, I'm going to say, the last 20 years. Her name is Melody Cox, and she's actually from Southfield, Michigan.
Okay,
and
not
she
far
writes,
from me.
Right. And she writes such good lyrics that all I have to do is start reading the lyrics, and the song just comes out of the lyric. And that particular song, Something About the Way, would be perfect for James Taylor. And, I would gladly try to get the song to him. But first of all, he doesn't need songs because he's a brilliant writer himself. And secondly, there's probably hundreds of people in line already trying to get songs to him. So I can hope for the best, but it really does sound like a James Taylor kind of a song.
So James Taylor, if you're listening right now to the Outstanding Life podcast, make sure you check out jcunger.com, Something About the Way. Now, JC,
Yes,
you also do another show. You're not just a single guy playing music in Florida. You also do a show with a really good friend of yours, a really talented man. And the show is called Buffett Meets Sinatra. How in the heck did you and Dale ever come up with Buffett Meets Sinatra?
I was working in Michigan, and this was like 30 years ago, and living there, raising my kids. And this guy would come and spray our lawn every week. And his name was Dale. And he didn't wear a shirt. He wore boots and pants. And he wouldn't wear a shirt. And we just started talking. And he had a lawn care business, but he loved to sing. And he sang Sinatra style music and Dean Martin and things like that. And we just became really good friends over the years, but we never, ever thought of working together because our styles were so different. I was doing pop and rock and roll, and he was doing, Sinatra. So years passed, and let's jump ahead. And I was working in Dearborn at a place called the Dearborn Tavern. And I asked Dale, just stop in and sing a couple of songs with me, And so he came and he sang, and the owner of the place says, I'd like to have you guys here on Mondays. And so we couldn't believe it. A Monday in Michigan, working on a bar on Monday. And I said, great. And he said, well, I'm going to put it on our website. What do you call your What do you call your act? And I'm thinking, we don't have a name. We're not an act,
Right.
But this word came out of my mouth. When Buffett Meets Sinatra. That was what came out of my mouth. He goes, great. Okay, fine. And a month later, there were people lined up outside the door.
I remember going and watching you guys perform, and you're right. It was packed every single time you guys played.
Yep. And that was right around the time then when I snapped and wanted to go to Florida. And Dale said, yeah, I'll go too, So we decided to take the act and try to go to Florida. And that's how we got here.
Wow.
We went and we came here for 3 weeks. We had 3 weeks of rent, that we could afford. And we just went knocking door to door, looking for people interested in us. And it was the third week before somebody said, I want you guys.
Wow.
And
that's cool.
And that's how we got here. So we're very, very blessed that way,
JC, you are again a talented author. You're a talented musician, producer. I get all that, but we all need an out from what we do every single day. Even though you have a passion for music, you love music, there are things that you have to do to get away from that. Your one thing that I found out was you love flying your drone.
Oh, yes.
You took that up because you actually used it in 2 of my videos.
Yes. And
how did that even happen?
I actually have a website for just that, and it's called, it rhymes with ET Phones Home. It's JC Drones Homes.
I love that. So if you're in Florida, you're looking for a guy, JC, you work with like real estate offices, you work with tree companies, you work with anybody, you will put an advertisement together using your video cameras and your drone.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I can make an ad for you. Yep.
And even the music's original.
Right. Exactly. I use my own soundtrack. So yeah, they don't have to pay any royalties for that.
So how did that
yeah.
ever happen? Were you just like one day you were bored, you had a couple extra bucks in your pocket, and you decided, hey, listen, I'm going to go ahead and buy one of these?
Yeah, it's kind of like that. I was online and I saw what a drone camera can do and what it looks like. It looks so awesome. As you know, you've seen drone videos of the flying over the earth. It's just unbelievably nice.
Paul, the producer here, that's Paul, you actually do the same thing, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So for fun, he actually does the same thing, JC. So is it like one of these producer type things, engineer type things that you guys have to have a drone?
I guess so. It's just another way. Yes, it is. It very much is, because it wasn't as popular as it is. And you look now, and I mean, you see it every day.
Oh, it's more accessible than ever too, though.
And some of the drones now are crazy, just crazy.
Oh yeah, and they're so easy to fly compared to what they used to do.
Have you seen that one that just goes down into the water and back out of the water?
Yes.
Yeah, that one. That thing's crazy. God.
So they're coming out. I just heard 2 or 3 days ago, I heard that they were coming out with a selfie drone that will literally, it's a little drone from your phone, and you'll be able to do selfies with it instead of a selfie stick.
Yeah, I've seen that. I've actually seen that on Facebook. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, it is, because it doesn't matter where you go, it follows you.
Yeah, I think one of my favorite companies that makes them, they have a little one. It's about the size of your hand, and if you gesture the film like with your hands with it, or you like push it away or come back with just your hands, it actually will do that. When you do the picture, it'll count down 3 seconds and then take a selfie of you.
Really?
And the group. Oh yeah, it's crazy.
You guys are pretty cool then with this whole technology thing, because I have no idea about any of that. I mean, I just learned how to put all my podcasts on Dropbox. I mean, that's where I am now with technology. So thank you to JC and Paul for helping me get a little bit more educated when it comes to technology.
Oh, we'll get you there.
JC, again, if you're in the Florida area, and you can actually go to jcunger.com and see some of the cool videos that you have done for other people. What is that website again, just for the drone?
It's JC Drones Home, JCDroneZHOMES.com, JCDronesHomes.com.
JC, do you write music and songs for other people, or maybe even like jingles? Like if I said, JC, listen, man, this is what I have in my mind. Can you help me write lyrics and put the music to those lyrics? Have you done that with people?
Lyrics is not my forte. That's why I have Melody Cox. I'm so happy that she writes those lyrics for me, because she's gifted in that. But I just never had the gift for lyrics. My lyrics are like, "Hey, go, baby, hey," That's like.
Well, wait a second. That's actually won you a trip to Hawaii, I believe. A real simple jingle back in the day actually got you a trip to Hawaii. Isn't that correct?
Yeah.
So don't ever say that a simple jingle that just says, "Hey, go, baby, go," doesn't work, because sometimes those are the ones that actually works, because it paid for you to go to Hawaii.
I know, but listen to this lyric, okay? The radio station was out of Detroit. I think they're 96.3, if I got the right number. And it was Bud Light. It was a Bud Light contest, and the rules were you had to have 96.3 and Bud Light in the lyrics of the song. And so I wrote a song, and the chorus was 96.3 Bud Light, 96.3 Bud Light. That's all I wrote. So, and I couldn't believe I won the contest,
Well,
by the way,
yeah, go ahead.
We go to Waikiki, right? And I'm thinking, hey, I'm a big shot. I won a contest, I'm a big shot. And I go up to the girl at the hotel, the Sheraton there in Waikiki. And I go, yeah, I'm a contest winner. I won the 96.3 Bud Light contest. And she looks like bored out of her mind. She goes, yes, sir. The hotel is full of contest winners tonight. It's like, It was one of those things where all these contests were all there at the same time.
Oh, that's funny. Well, I will say I just got a phone call, it wasn't a phone call, it was a text message twice, 2 weeks ago. And you, back in the day, you know that my daughter was a figure skater, and you used to put a lot of her music together, because I was one of those dads, because I knew you, I would be like, I'm not going to let my daughter skate to somebody else's music. She's going to have original music. And you did a lot of her music for figure skating. Well, just 2 weeks ago, I get this text message going, hey, do you remember that track that you did? You know, and back then they were tapes. They weren't CDs. They weren't, digital. They were tapes. And I was just like, no, I don't have that. So that's another thing that you do. So if you're listening to this and you have kids that you want original music, you will do that for them.
Yes, of course. Yes.
So, and you're amazing. And again, it's original. It sounds great. JC, I know that you love to give back, and a way that you like to give back is not so much by money, but you give back in the Big Brother, Big Sister program. Is that right? You have a little brother.
Yes, I do, Raymond. Yeah, my little brother. Yeah, we spend so many hours a month together, and we shoot pool or play ping pong or swim or go and have something to eat or play games and whatever, and we have a good time together.
JC, me and you just talked about this a couple days ago, and we said, it's amazing how you can spend time with somebody. Time. Time.
Yes, sir.
It doesn't have anything to do with money.
No.
And you can just change and help somebody and mold somebody's life by just spending time with them. Yeah. And you said to me, said, Johnny, I'm only allowed to spend $25 a visit with him. And I was like, well, it doesn't, you could do nothing, spend no money and get something out of that. I remember back in the day when I was a struggling artist doing things with my daughter, and it took a lot of time for me to realize that it doesn't cost money to change somebody's life, to be with somebody, to spend time with somebody, to go for a walk with somebody, to take a photo with somebody.
Exactly.
So thank you for doing that, because you've been doing that for a while now.
Just finished a third year.
Yeah, that's so awesome. JC, I was telling Paul when we were setting up, and we were a little late doing this, but I was telling Paul a funny story that back in the day, I did my very first telephone call on a radio station. Now, back in the day, we didn't have cell phones. We had pay phones. And I looked at Paul, I said, do you know what a pay phone is? And he started laughing at me. So I remember.
I came from an era where it was still in the school. So when you had to call home, you had to do the collect call and go, what's your name? Hey, Mom, I'm done from school. Pick me up. So that would be the message, so you could try to do it free.
I love that. Well, I remember I had millions of listeners on the radio, and I would call in and do like a motivational Monday, motivational Tuesday, well, whatever day it was. I remember I was in Florida, JC, and I remember being on the phone call, and I put in like, $1.50, and I thought I'd have enough time. Well, all of a sudden, the operator came in while we were live on the radio, and it said, please deposit 25 cents. So I was like, man, I was out by the pool. You know what I mean? I was having an adult beverage. And so I'd put another quarter in. Then it kept going a little bit longer. Please deposit 50 cents. And I was like looking at people going, give me a quarter. Give me a quarter. Do you have any funny story through all the years of you performing that just rings a bell that you're like, wow, that was one of those embarrassing moments or funny moments? I mean, you've worked in a lot of bars and stuff like that. Remember that this is a PG-13 show, but do you have any of those moments that you're like, oh boy, maybe you're on stage, you had to go to the bathroom. I don't know, but I'm kind of putting you on the spot to end this podcast with something funny.
Okay. All right. I was in, how I was in Vegas. Remember I was talking about being in Vegas.
Yep.
And by this time we had a trio, and we were, it wasn't in Vegas. We started in Vegas, but this was actually, I think, in Minneapolis. Anyway, we're down the street from a medical facility, so there's a lot of medical people in our audience. So we were wearing nice white suits, and I was going to play the violin. And when I played the violin, I always stepped out in front of the band, and there was a couple sitting right in the table right in front of me. And as I'm playing the violin, they're writing something down on a notepad, and they hand it to the keyboard player, and he starts laughing. And I could see out of the corner of my eye as I'm playing the violin, I could see him laughing. I'm thinking, what the hell did they give him? And then he hands the note to the drummer, Richie, and Richie's cracking up so hard he can hardly keep the beat, you know? So I guess I finished playing, and I go back, and Richie gives me the note, and the note says, "Do you know how to play, quote, 'Your fly is open'?" Unquote.
That's so funny, because I was just thinking to myself, and Paul, you might be thinking the exact same thing. They roll up, they're playing in front of a bunch of medical people, and they show up in a hearse. I'm like, wait a second, this isn't even right. This is funny. Well, JC, I can't even thank you for coming on the show. Again, this is Johnny D. This is the Outstanding Life podcast with my producer, Mr. JC Unger, and you can find him at www.jcunger.com. Check him out. And again, this is Johnny D, the Motivational Cowboy, telling you, be safe, have fun, and have yourselves an outstanding day. And remember, now you can find Outstanding Life podcast on SoundCloud and iTunes. Remember, it's all free. Outstanding Life is a Soul Bridge Studio production.